Today we're going to be unboxing and installing the InSinkErator Badger 5XL. Stay tuned. Well, hello everybody, I'm Matt Willis, and on this channel I make videos to make you a stronger and more confident, well, in this case, installer. So here we have a InSinkErator Badger 5XL half horsepower garbage disposal. My house here was built in 1986 and it's still functioning with the same garbage disposal it came with back then. So a 34-year-old garbage disposal, so I think it's ready to be replaced. So let's see what's inside this box here. What's in the box? Alright, we got some paperwork here, registered today, and the instruction manual. Okay, the top of the garbage disposal. Some styrofoam. And the unit itself. Alright, this is nice and heavy. Okay, bag of supplies. And that is heavier than I would have thought. Wow, okay. Anything else in here? No. The rest of the box is empty. Okay, so let's see what we got here. This thing is not small. Gonna make sure to pop out whatever I need to do for the insert there for the drain for the dishwasher. Let's take a look at the instructions real quick. See what all we'll need. Okay. All right, I'm gonna continue to review the instructions here, get my tools together, and I'll see you shortly underneath my sink. Stay tuned. Of course, I don't have any plumbing putty. Off to Lowe's. Might actually get a replacement drain for the other side of the sink as well, because, well, that's 34 years old too and looks not great. Hello! Alright, so we're first going to be putting in a new drain. I had to cut the other one out with a Dremel because the lock nut would not come out. But first things first, we got to put some plumbing putty around the opening. Looks like I'll need a little bit more. The former drain was, something like 34 years old. You can imagine how nasty it looked. So this is going to be a nice upgrade to the sink here. I think just a little bit more right there. Okay, so we got lots of putty. Let's see what's going on here. We got underneath. Okay, so looks like this just goes in as such. Okay, so let's move the camera under the sink. All right, now we're under the sink. You can see the bottom of the new drain right there. So we're gonna tighten everything up. So first we're gonna put the rubber ring. So I got the easy mount with thumb screws because why make it harder on yourself than you need to? So these go. This goes as well. And then this is going to screw into place here. And a little bit of plumbing putty that kind of came out around it's actually kind of holding the rubber ring in place, so that's cool. And I want to make sure that this is at the angle I want it to be. There we go. So now we can use these thumb screws to tighten the rubber gasket and hold everything together. So I'm going to get it just a little snug. Just a little snug. Now I'm going to go through each of them a few turns each until they're nice and firm. This is a much better design than the big overarching, the big locking ring. That thing was terrible. We're getting close, getting close. This is going to be a great upgrade to the other side of the sink. And then next, the disposal itself. All right, I think we're good. So the next thing is going to be installing everything to actually make it a drain, but we're not going to do that yet because I kind of like this open space. I've taken, let's take the camera over here, I've taken a lot of the plumbing out right now, a lot of the drain plumbing. It's going to make it easier to install the garbage disposal, and then I'll put that all back together as well. So we'll be back in a minute. All right, so now we have the plumbing putty around here. I'm just going to kind of, well, peel it off. Most of it ends up coming out, but that's fine. You just want it, well, where you want it. So now that'll be a nice watertight seal, and put that to the side. And we'll clean that up a little bit, and it should be all good to go once we get that drain plug in there. So, cool. All right, moving on to the disposal itself. First thing, we need to attach power. I have a power plug under here. It is not directly wired, so we are going to add a wiring kit to this guy. So, opening up the access panel underneath, we see the white and black cables right here, and the green is the ground. And I have the InSinkErator power cord kit. So, keep it in brand if you can. Comes with its instructions right here. Though it should be fairly straightforward. Alright, got a couple of wire nuts. Got our little, what is that called? Romex connector. There we go. The Romex connector hole thingy. Okay, so we're gonna screw this on until it's, so we screwed the Romex connector onto the hole at the bottom of the garbage disposal here. Now, okay, we're gonna loosen the screws on this connector before running the power cable through here. That should be enough room. And so again, what I'm doing here, we got the Romex connector here, and we're going to run everything in through it. I'm going to kind of twist these together a little bit to feed them through and hopefully keep them together so I can grab them all. There we go. Boom. Alright, so one of these two has ribs on it, and one of them does not. This one is ridged, so they're tiny little, going along the same direction as the wire. Okay, so the one with ribs is going to connect to the white wire. Alright, good to know. Good to know. Okay, so just those together. And then with the supplied wire nut, go ahead and tighten that on there. Good and firm. Okay, then again, reading here, connect the black smooth, and this is definitely the smooth one, to the black here. I'm going to grab some electrical tape in just a moment to tape these together so that there's not any sort of pulling or, you know, other tension that might take them apart. But first, I'm going to go ahead and put the ground on. And we have to actually fully unscrew the ground because it's got a whole like ring on it. So, and the ground screw is green, makes it easy. All right, I'll be right back grabbing some electrical tape. Got some electrical tape, has to be red, doesn't matter. Tape the wires together, tape it to the nut itself. All right, so we got these nice and secure. Everything's looking good. There's room for all the wires in here. So now I'm gonna go ahead and tighten the Romex connector. Wanted to make sure, it said to do this beforehand. I left it loose just in case I needed to get some more slack on the wires. But I didn't need to do that. All right, so we have power connected to this thing. Let's go ahead and put the cover back on so you can see the wires are all tucked in there nicely. We got the Romex connector connected. Flux capacitor is fluxing. And here we go. And it just kind of rusts on there, but once the screw's in, it'll hold everything in place. boom, you can see there's little kind of protrusions, if you will, that stick out that help guide the plate into place. So we now have the power hooked up to the garbage disposal, ready to move on to the next steps. The next step is to get the flange mounted to the sink. So we're going to go ahead and loosen, let's take the little cap out of here. We're going to go ahead and loosen the screws on here. All right, now, once we're loosened, there's a snap ring in here that we're going to have to pry out. That's holding everything in place. Just use a flat-headed screwdriver. It pries out easily enough, especially when it's new. Taking the old one out was a little bit of a pain. But now with that snap ring out, the other pieces will happily come out. Now it's time to mount the InSinkErator flange up top. Let's head up there. You can see here, I've already got the plumbing putty going. We're gonna go ahead and put this in. Again, trying to make sure that it has the InSinkErator facing up the right direction. Just gonna press it in fairly firmly right now. Now it wants us to put a weight in the top. It actually recommends the InSinkErator unit itself because we don't need it yet, so that's a great idea. So I'm just gonna grab a towel, stick it up there. I don't think you need to see that part, but I'm gonna be doing that right now. I recommend wrapping it in a towel so it doesn't scratch your sink, though my sink's pretty scratched as it is. But anyways, there goes the towel. Here comes the InSinkErator. And boom, like that, it's in place. We don't have to worry about it. Okay, so now let's see what we got. So the fiber gasket. So interestingly enough, it looked like it was just packing material, but it looks like we actually are going to use that again. Interesting, okay. And again, with a little bit of plumbing putty that came through, kind of holds that gasket in place, which is nice. Then you got D here, this part, remember, it's the flat part heading up, and I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of put these together. I mean, not really attached, but put them together so they go on in the right order. I don't have to worry about it. Okay. Take two. And there we go. Boom. Snap ring in. Gotta use your thumbs and, but now everything's in there. That snap ring again is gonna keep things from, falling down. That's actually kind of what's keeping this here. So now we need to raise that part to hold the whole thing tight. So first, I'm just actually gonna finger tighten these screws. Fun stuff here, huh? But man, it's gonna be nice having a new garbage disposal, I'm not gonna lie. I've lived in this house now for 11 years, and this garbage disposal was, well, really old when I bought the house. I guess it was 23 years old then. It's 34 years old now. I can't believe it's still around. And it still almost kind of worked, but not really. And the power upgrade's gonna be nice too. I thought about getting the full 1 horsepower one, but looking at my plumbing, I didn't know with how the drains were. If I actually had room, it's quite a bit bigger. So I thought it was best to err on the side of maybe a little bit of caution here. And just get slightly larger. But I don't think I need to be trying to grind peach pits and that stuff. But if that's your thing, man, you do you. All right, let's take a look up top and see what's going on. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and grab this InSinkErator, get it out of the way, get this towel. It's polishing towel, that's what all the black is. Now, they say to remove this first. I like to remove it after just to make sure it's all gooed out. You're gonna have to probably do it again anyways. It stayed nice and centered, I like that. So just getting all of the plumbing putty out of there. So I'm going to take a second and clean that up just a little bit more, and we'll be back underneath to get to the next step. So the next step on the instructions is to install the power, but I already did that, so I guess I did a little out of order. I think it's going to be just fine. But that's the next step on the instructions. Now, after that, we're going to install the discharge tube. So this is where all the nasty comes out. There's a rubber gasket that's going to fit right inside. Fits nicely. Discharge tube mounts to that. And then there's a flange that'll be held in place with two small bolt screws things. I'm just going to hand fasten those at first. Now on my discharge tube, I know it's the full length that came because I could tell on the other one. I compared it with my previous unit that I took out. They were the same. Take a look at your discharge tube if you're replacing your garbage disposal and see if you need to cut it before you mount it. It would just be a lot easier and you wouldn't risk possibly damaging your InSinkErator by putting a hacksaw somewhere near it. Point it down nicely and then just tighten. I tend to tighten until they get kind of snug and then go back and forth evenly between the two. And these screws, when it's on, it's on. I wouldn't be able to tighten those any more than that. So now we get to try to actually mount it to the thing under the sink. So this thing spins on here, and there's tabs right here that are going to hang off of this and allow it to, well, support its own weight and everything. So, all right, it looks like you go from the left side to the right. So, there's that tab. It comes with a little handy dandy wrenchette, I believe they call. And you want to turn it until they lock. Okay, so. There it goes. Finally locked. You could kind of hear it. It took a little bit more force than I was willing to give it at first. I didn't want to damage anything, but I mean, it's designed to do all this stuff, so I think we're going to be fine. And now my InSinkErator is in place. Now you can see here, this is the boot that connects the dishwasher to the garbage disposal, and in my case, well, one, it's filled with nasty, which is gross, yuck. But moreover, it cracked in the process, so I'm going to go through everything, but I don't believe this is supplied. Let's find out real quick. I'm going to look at everything else that came with this. Indeed, that's not supplied, so I'm going to have to head back out to the home improvement store and buy a little connecting bit. That being said, I can connect everything else under here, though, so that we can, well, start actually using the sink again. And then just briefly, so you can see what it looks like from the top. It's looking pretty good. Yeah, it's got a little extra right there. Got that all cleaned up. Looks like a brand new sink pretty much over there. And you can come over here and actually see the light shining through for the other fixture there. So that is definitely a nice upgrade to my sink. And I'm looking forward to, well, doing the dishes a little bit more this time. All right, the fun continues. Now we're going to hook up the drain pipe to the other side of the sink. So this was the existing drain pipe. I've gone ahead and fit the lock nut, if you will, onto the pipe, and it's got the little kind of lipped end. I'm going to go ahead and put the plastic little bit there, and this will make a nice seal here, and then I have the other side down here where it'll connect into all of the rest of the plumbing. And this is very straightforward. It just threads on. And that should be good to go there. So now I'm going to rebuild all the rest of the actual drainage plumbing here, and we'll see how that goes. That's a great sign, people. I don't see anything leaking anywhere. Everything looks nice and watertight. So the only thing I need to do now is head to the store, get me a new little connection doo-wop here so I can connect my dishwasher to the rest of this. So I'll be back in just a minute to do that. Alright guys, we are done. The InSinkErator is installed. The other new sink flange drain is installed. And in the process, I decided I needed an air gap. In Texas, they're not required by code, at least houses of this era weren't, so it didn't have one. Hardest part, that right there did not have a hole. So I had to use my drill and drill about 16 holes and then kind of Dremel between them to make a space for that air gap there. And let's kind of go underneath here. And I mean, it's plumbing and it's an under sink cabinet, so it's not the prettiest thing, but it's looking pretty good. There's the InSinkErator. There's everything, and back in there. So the air gap, its discharge is 7/8 and its input is 5/8. However, my line coming out for the dishwasher drain was only 1/2, so it wouldn't fit. So I made a little coupler and used some polyester thread so it wouldn't in any way rot over time, so that that little coupler, again right there, could fit. So that's the 7/8 internal diameter, same as the discharge, built up around that, and then my 1/2 inch going in, and then everything clamped down nice and tight. Everything has been in here. All of the plumbing pipes here were scrubbed with a brush, so all of that is completely clean on the inside, which is nice. Should eliminate odors, and yeah. All right. So, Court, do you have anything you need to say about any of this?
Hashtag command you sink.
All right, everybody, I'm Matt Willis Bagpiper. Until next time, cheers.